4 North Madison Street, Clinton.
See participating store for details.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in this segment of the morning show, Candace Summers with the McLean County Museum of History. Good morning, Candace. How are you today?
I'm delightful on this now snowy Friday.
Well, it's been a while. Just missing one interview with you, Candace, last month. It feels like it's been some time. How is the museum? What's been going on lately?
We are doing really good at the museum. We kind of had a quiet holiday. That's why I went ahead and skipped. I took a little downtime because it was just an insanely busy year at the museum. And we've got a lot of things coming up in this year, and we're also looking ahead at some new temporary exhibits that we're going to be debuting over the next few years. So yeah, we're really ramping up at the museum again with all the things.
Sure. Awesome. Well, do you mind, Candace, if we start with kind of a look back at the year that was in 2022? It was a busy year, kind of felt like a lot of things returned to normal coming out of COVID and all of that. How about 2022?
Yeah. So yeah, we definitely returned to normal with a lot of things, and, things we're still working on getting, back to whatever normal is these days. Like I said, our cemetery walk before went off really, really well. We had well over 3,000 people, mainly students, who participated in the cemetery walk this year, both in person and online. Our virtual cemetery walk went like crazy. We had over 1,400 views of that video. I think that's more than 2020, 2021 combined together. So that's really huge for us. And excuse me, we're getting back with school groups, both in person and at the schools. In fact, after our interview today, I'll be going over to Hayworth Junior High to present to 4 classes about the Civil War. So that's pretty exciting. We've also been ramping up with volunteers. We've definitely got some people coming back now that, COVID is kind of part of our lives and everybody's, getting used to it. And of course, it's a lot safer. So we've definitely seen an uptick in volunteers coming back to the museum too. And like I said, we're looking at, a lot of special programs coming ahead in the new year, and, just making some plans to do new and different things at the museum too.
Yeah. Now, do you, and I don't know what the fiscal year of the museum is, Candace, but do you keep track of circulation and visitors and things of that nature? Anything like that that's of noteworthy from last year?
Oh, absolutely. So our fiscal year, actually, a new one's coming up starting April 1. We run April 1st to March 31st.
Okay.
And so I'm knee deep in budgets right now, which is my least favorite part of my job.
I find it hard to believe a historian doesn't like budgeting. That just doesn't. I just don't feel like that's right, Candace.
There's a reason I was a history major. Very little math involved. I'm just putting that out there. But in addition to doing fiscal year attendance, I also do calendar year attendance, because everybody wants to see all the numbers that we do. And we had some early numbers from who we served last year. And it was a really good year. We keep increasing our numbers each and every year. And I am happy to say that for our calendar year in 2022, and this is just people we serve through education programs, not just the regular foot traffic that comes through the door, we served a whopping 20,657 people inside of our building and outside of our building.
Wow.
So that is definitely getting back to much more normal from where we were before COVID. Of course, we serve a lot more people through our off-site programs, and we always have for many years. people appreciate that we are able to come to them, whether it's at their school, at their community group, or now in our online programming. We try to do hybrid programming through all the special events that we can, like our speakers and things. It's especially been valuable to older adults living in senior care facilities who can't get out easily, or of course, due to COVID and other, communicable diseases, as we all know, flu, RSV, all the things are, are flying around now. So if there's a silver lining to COVID, doing these virtual programs has increased the reach of our capabilities, but also allowed us to serve people who aren't physically able to come to the museum anymore for whatever reason. So that's been a big plus, I guess, if you could say there's pluses to a glable pandemic.
Yeah. Well, and you got to take the silver lining out of those things, because it was a struggle for a long time there, but it really really made a lot of folks, a lot of agencies, businesses, things of that nature, made us adapt, and we learned capabilities perhaps we didn't have before, and learned we could do things ways we didn't do before. And so I think that's always a good way to look at it. How are we evolving and expanding what we're doing? So
absolutely. And I mean, even in just the past almost 3 years now of COVID, the changes in technology have just been so rapid. Like, not that it's related to programming, but I was looking at getting a new computer software like right when COVID happened to help us, schedule tours and track attendance much easier than the 20-some-year-old program I use now. And I went back to the company. I'm like, I need new quotes because we can finally do this. The cost is like half as much because the technology is improving. They've streamlined things. So it's rapid history right in front of our very eyes.
Yeah. Well, Candace, looking back at 2022, did any programs, events, things of that nature come back the way they were prior to COVID? Anything stand out in that realm?
Like I said, Cemetery Walk was definitely closer to our pre-pandemic numbers for the in-person this year.
Sure.
It was nice to see all the students that were able to come back now that restrictions were being eased for field trips, things like that. We also participated in the annual Steampunk Festival again last year, and those numbers were definitely up from the previous year, where we had a one-day kind of small event. A lot more people coming to our speakers in the building. So yeah, it's been great seeing our usual suspects at our programs, but also new people coming and experiencing our educational events.
Yeah. Definitely. Very good. Well, good to hear that 2022, got us back to some of the things we're used to at the McLean County Museum. And we look ahead to 2023. And Candace, I don't know if you want to take the time to highlight things in January, or we could talk just 2023 in general. What's kind of on the horizons from that perspective? Where do you want to take the conversation? I'll kind of leave it up to you here.
So we are jam-packed for events coming up in February, and probably everyone's favorite around these parts is the annual Tour de Chocolate. Last year was kind of derailed because we had that big snowstorm, and then we had to have it after Valentine's Day, which, it's still chocolate, but it's like, you want to build it up to Valentine's Day, which is the holiday of candy. And this year, the museum is very excited to not only be having, once again, our very tasty chocolate-covered beer nuts, but Ferrero is joining us at the museum with a pop-up that night sampling their candy. So you're going to have double candy at our site.
Holy
That's
cow.
like the best. It's the best thing ever. And it's free chocolate too. That's like, I mean, who wouldn't like that?
There's
right?
nothing better. There's literally nothing better. Free chocolate.
No. And I mean, I'm very partial to the chocolate-covered beer nuts because you get your sweet and salty at the same time. They're delightful if you've never had them, but
they are.
A whole host of downtown businesses are going to be participating as usual, so you can eat your way through downtown. Now, I may recommend having a little regular supper before you eat your way through chocolate, because nobody wants to have a stomachache. Just saying. But
quick way to get a headache.
Right, or a headache, exactly right.
Yeah.
But in addition to our free candy and hosting Ferrero, as every year for the last, goodness, like 5 years, we will have the museum's building lit up outside with pink and white lights to celebrate all things love related. And that is next Friday, February 3rd from 5 to 8 p.m. You can go to downtownbloomington.org to find a list of participating businesses and what they're offering. I like to call that a munchie map because you can plot out where you're going to eat through downtown. I have it on good authority that right down the street from the museum, Red Raccoon is having their world famous chocolate soup. It's like a pudding. It's so good. And you get a
Chocolate
cookie with
soup.
it.
Oh, wow.
I know. And I mean, I've heard that there's going to be like chocolate dipped fruit downtown from other businesses. It's my favorite holiday of this time of year. If you want to call it I'm going to make it a holiday. It's official.
Yeah.
This is a holiday now. Put it on all the calendars. So really excited to be participating in Tour de Chocolate again this year.
Sure. Very good. So that again is next Friday, correct, Candace?
Yep. Next Friday, February 3rd. The future cast looks promising for the weather. At least there's no snowstorms. Knock on wood now. I don't know where this snow came out of. That was just now here, but so come on out, mark your calendar. You do not want to miss Tour de Chocolate this year.
Candace Summers with the McLean County Museum of History is our guest on the phone here. Candace, we could take a break now, or we could talk about a few more things coming up. I know you've got some events and things of that nature to highlight. How about just the rest of January? What else is on the radar?
Yeah, so on Tuesday, February 7th, we're going to have our first History Reads Book Club discussion of the year. And we have a really great roster of books lined up. The first one for February, on February 7th, is The Defender, How the Legendary Black Newspaper Changed America. And so if you're not familiar with that newspaper, the Chicago Defender, it was a weekly newspaper. I believe it publishes more frequently now because it still exists. And this newspaper reported on all of the happenings and local news, not just for Chicago Black community, but around the nation. And I started reading this book. It's a bit of a read. It's about 500 pages, but I'm just like amazed at the history that I'm learning and how influential this newspaper was. And it also, they reported quite a bit on Central Illinois Black communities. I've found people from our own history in McLean County reported on in that newspaper. So I'm really looking forward to digging more into the book and to the discussion about how influential this paper was and how it recorded history and how valuable of a tool that is. So you can check out that book, interlibrary loan through the library in Clinton, or if you're up in Bloomington Normal, through those libraries as well. We will be offering it hybrid. So if you can't come and join us in person, you can join us online for the discussion, and that is February 7th at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a really great discussion, I feel like.
Sure, very good. So put all of that on the calendar. Where do folks go for everything we've talked about here this morning, Candace?
You can go to our website, makehistory.org, or you can catch us on Facebook with all the details as well. Fantastic.
Well, let's take a time out here, Candace. Come back with some more. Candace Summers, McLean County Museum of History, our guest on the phone. More to come with her here on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
.org.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn slightly lower, beans lower, wheat also slightly lower. March corn 6.82 3/4, up 1/4. May corn down a penny, 6.79. July corn 6.66 1/4, down 1 3/4. March beans 15.15 1/2, down 8. May beans down 7 3/4, 15.07. July beans 14.96 1/2, down 8. March Chicago wheat 7.51 1/4, down 1 1/4. May wheat down 1 1/4, 7.59 1/4. March bean meal 475.70, down 140. March bean oil 60.51, down 28 cents. Livestock market, March feeders 183.42, up 57 cents. February live cattle down 2 pennies, 156.70. February lean hogs down 27 cents, 76.75. Energy market at this hour, March crude oil 82.05, up $1.04. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
WHOW, the Big 1520 across central Illinois, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, and 106.5 FM in McLean County is coming to the Monticello School District. It's the WHOW School Spotlight, broadcasting live from the Monticello District Office on Tuesday, January 31st from 9 till 10 in the morning. Listen as we visit the superintendent and administration, talking about the great things they're doing for students when we bring the WHOW School Spotlight to the Monticello School District on Tuesday, January 31st from 9 till 10. This WHOW School Spotlight stop is brought to you by Kirby Medical Center, located at 1000 Medical Center Drive in Monticello.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
There's nothing like seeing a big number on your combine's yield monitor. The seeds of your harvest started here in the Pioneer Research Lab, where we use advanced breeding technologies to bring seed innovations to your fields faster. So you can be confident that Pioneer will help you enjoy more harvest moments year after year. That's what it takes to earn the name Pioneer. What's next happens here. Learn more at pioneer.com/next.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show is streaming to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. Again, Candace Summers, McLean County Museum of History, my guest on the phone here for this morning. And Candace, later in February, you've got a last minute but special guest coming your way. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so at the end of the month, one of our board members who is very involved in the local labor unions let us know that a ISU alumni, Illinois Wesleyan alumni, is coming back to the area. Her name is Dr. Erica Wills. She's the assistant professor for the School of Workers at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. And she is going to be sharing a program of worker stories, labor rights, particularly focusing on women in the workforce. And so we're really excited she's making a stop, adding an extra stop to her visit to ISU, and going to be presenting her program on February 28th at 6:30 at the museum, a free public program.
What's her program all about?
So she focuses on working with workers to advocate for unions. She also documents workers' issues from workplace safety, from strikes, also encouraging women to get more into unions, which unions typically are primarily male-focused work. Mm-hmm. And so she also, as part of her work teaching at the University of Wisconsin School of Workers, she leads educational efforts so that workers know their rights in the workplace as well. So I think it's going to be a really fascinating program. I've always wanted to learn more about labor history. I mean, we've heard of, big labor disasters that have led to changes in workplace safety, like the Cherry coal mine disaster of the early 1900s, revolutionized coal mine safety, or the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire in New York, where they literally locked people in the building to keep them from leaving at any point, and therefore that is why so many women perished in that terrible tragedy. So it's really going to be an interesting program.
Very good. So we'll look forward to that. That's again when and where?
It is at the museum Tuesday, February 28th at 6:30.
Excellent. Very good. Well, Candace, I've got a couple of minutes yet still with you as we look ahead, even beyond 2023. You're already thinking about some exhibits and such. Real quickly, kind of give us the 10,000-foot overviews on these.
Yeah, so we have two exhibits that special short-term exhibits that'll be coming up. One that we had planned many years ago, but we decided to embark on a capital campaign instead and redo all of our permanent exhibits. So this one will be opening up in fall of 2024, called A Deadly Deception, the Asbestos Tragedy in Bloomington. And it looks at how a local manufacturer, Unarco, which is no longer in business, manufactured asbestos products, but kept the secret of how harmful asbestos was on your health. Kept it from the workers, kept it from the community. And so this is going to be a really heavy-hitting exhibit, but I'm glad that we can tell this story so that people can continue to be educated about, something that you can still find in your homes. My grandpa's house had asbestos siding on it. I see asbestos siding on a lot of older homes. Or, you might find it in like floor tiles and tape that goes around your furnaces if you have an older home. So I think this will be a really good exhibit for people to come and learn about.
Very
and then
good.
Later down the line, a more fun exhibit we are working on is a baseball and softball exhibit. Now, why not just a sports exhibit? There's so many sports. We have to narrow it down. So we're going to start with baseball and softball.
Cool.
And we're going to look at, how baseball emerged in the 1850s. We're going to look at some of the who's who of local big leaguers and Hall of Famers in Bloomington Normal. We're also going to look at issues with segregation and unfair treatment for Black players, and go, of course, with softball as well.
Sure.
And see how they developed here in Bloomington Normal and McLean County. So yeah, we're really excited about that fun exhibit. That's going to be a little while because we just started working on it, but I heard rumors that it could be in 2025 that we open that exhibit.
Very good. Well, Candace, I don't mean to do this to you. I've got to cut us off here. Candace Summers with the McLean County Museum of History is my guest. Network News is next.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM, W222 BG Clinton, 106.5 FM, W293 DJ Normal Bloomington.
Asking for peace in the streets following the release later today of the videotaped beating.